Welcome back to Black Swan Outdoors, and today we have another antenna. And this antenna here is a portable multi-band HF antenna built specifically for emergency communications. This runs on HF bands, everything from 160 to 10 meters, and it will do 100 watts for single sideband, 50 watts for CW. So you can use this thing for many different applications. You can set it up and use it with an SDR or a shortwave radio for listening. You can use it for propagation. And if you're going to use it for propagation, there's many different ways in which you can set this up. You can set up as an L in the L-shaped configuration, or a sloper configuration for more of a general purpose use. You can set it up, and that would require two posts to do that. So you can check out our mast videos that we had about how to set up masts, some cheap and quick, inexpensive masts. If you only have one connection point, you can set this up as a V as well, which gives it a little bit more directional capability. So, you know, up at the apex, it's still going to be pretty omnidirectional. But on, you know, particularly on the upper bands, it will be much more directional. So if you needed to direct your antenna to a specific area, you know, then you have that capability. The other way that you can set this radio up too, or this antenna up too, is low to the ground as an NVIS or NVIS. And that NVIS setup is really good for short-range communications, particularly with that HF radio. So if you have an HF radio, you're pretty much going to be restricted to long-range communications with most antennas, unless you have an NVIS antenna, and then what that does is it bounces the signal straight up into the ionosphere and then showers it right down into your area. So, you know, within, I don't know, 80 to maybe 300 miles or so. So it's pretty low, pretty regional. But otherwise, yeah. So there's so many different uses for this setup. Now I'll kind of walk through the build. It's actually pretty simple. You can see there's wire wound around this dog bone or winder. That just helps keep all the wire connected. I elected to use stranded wire on this for this build, just to make it lighter, and made it pretty inexpensive. So I think maybe that spool might have been $30 or so. And then the only other real expense, other than the wire, is the little unum here. This is a 9-to-1 unum. Now this is one of these kits, and the reason why I got this kit is because I can alter this for different types of uses. So if I wanted a 1-to-1 bolum, or for balanced, like a dipole antenna, or an unbalanced dipole for a 4-to-1, I can reconfigure this for that reason. And commercial radio antennas don't allow you often to reconfigure, to reuse those antennas. So I could take what I have here in this kit and I can repurpose it for a different type of radio, maybe a dipole or any number of different types of antennas. So I already have the wire, I've got insulators, I've got clips on here, and then I've got the way to connect it to the radio and to balance the feed line. So if worst case scenario meant that I needed to cannibalize on this antenna, I could make other antennas with it. Okay, so there's two strands of wire, and they're both connected onto either side with this carabiners. And so all you have to do to deploy it is unsnap the side carabiner, and then you have long wire. This wire is 73 feet long. This is your hot or resonating wire. The other wire here off the black, that is your counterpoise. So the counterpoise runs along the bottom onto the ground. This counterpoise is only 23 feet long. And so you basically, all you do is just extend it out in any of the configurations that you want. In the middle of the line, I have an insulator and a carabiner. This is then for attaching, so that if you wanted to do an inverted V from, like, say, a tall tree branch, or us doing a sloper, that it holds that line up so that you can make that shape. And then the only thing I'll note here is that I used some wire crimps and put that on a carabiner on the side to take the tension off of the terminals here so that it doesn't get pulled. And that has been super helpful part, because I've set this wire up. It's black, it's hard to see. I had a dog get tangled up in it, and it didn't ruin the antenna. So so that was super great. And then at the ends, I also have insulators. Again, this is just another PVC round with a cable clamp on there, and it gives you a nice strong connection, because if you're pulling this wire out and you want to get it nice and straight, you know, there's going to be some tension on here. So for, you know, I don't know, I think the control box was maybe less than $15, and then for $30 for the wire. So it's overall a pretty cheap HF radio antenna. And then the plastic board here is just scrap that I had from around the farm. But you could easily use like a cutting board or any piece of plastic that you'd find, or wood. Yeah, so yeah, this is the HF emergency antenna. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you have any comments or questions, put them down below. And then I will show some pictures here of this video of what this looks like deployed, so you have an idea.